I think the role of purpose when we're thinking about trust in organizations is absolutely critical. The thing to do if you're trying to build trust is to be clear about what you stand for and who you are, and purpose is at the heart of that. So any organization that wants to build trust with consumers or any other stakeholder needs to get out there and say who they are, what they stand for, what they mean by that, and that's a starting point for building trust with people. It's a starting point for everything. There's so much to be learned for the online gambling industry by looking at other industries. My work with all sorts of different industries, from consumer goods to retail to banking to logistics, shows that the companies and the industries that really do well in this space are those that do four things. First, they acknowledge that there's a problem. They ask what's broken in our system, what's our responsibility for fixing it. Then they dive deep and look at some of the problems they can fix, but they also look at their assets. They look at what they're brilliant at and how they can contribute to society positively with those assets. And then finally, that always inevitably leads them on to talking about their purpose. Why do they exist in society? And when a company or an industry has all those things in place, that's when things start to really shine. So I think for the gambling industry, that's where they need to start, to ask those key questions of themselves and see where the answers take them. For me, the one key thing that the online gambling industry needs to do to become more relevant in society is to ask itself what is the positive contribution that it wants to make, and to be honest with itself about whether it's currently making it or whether changes are needed. And once those changes are in place, then you can go out and talk to people about them, which builds trust and builds relevance, but only when those changes have happened and when you're clear about who you are and what your purpose is. What's been inspiring about today is a couple of things. Firstly, that this conference exists in the first place, and I think it's wonderful that Kindred Group sets out its stall and wants to bring the whole industry with it in its commitment to sustainability. That's wonderful. But for me, the most inspiring stories have been the ones that have been personal today. So I loved hearing about Derby County Football Club and what they're doing with Team Talk, really helping men to speak to each other, to get active, to do all sorts of different things. And it was lovely to hear towards the end the testimony of some people who had been problem gamblers and what they expect from the industry. I think sometimes when we have conferences like this, we're executives talking to executives, and we can forget there are people at the heart of this. So for me, what's been inspiring is hearing those stories and hearing some of the positive stories of how people have helped themselves or helped others.